Welcome, and thank you for coming to the virtual reception of the students and their teacher exhibit at the Marlene Duell Gallery of the Poplar Creek Library in Streamwood. I am Denise Lauren, the teacher, and I will be your guide today. First, I'd like to introduce you to the students who participated in the exhibition. Kate Burlett, Teresa Fabish, Amaya Garacetti, Annette Lee, Eli Paulson, Ashwitha Sankar, and Charlotte Turnbull. So welcome. This is the gallery area of the Poplar Creek Library, also known as the Marlene Duell Gallery. And you will be greeted by this wonderful sign, which has an example from each one of my students. The very first area that you will notice as you walk into the gallery area is the display case. Don't miss the display case because there are some wonderful works of art in here. And what you'll see is a variety of artistic expression in the display case. So we're going to look at each one of the works of art individually and up close in this tour. But I do want to let everyone know that one of the things that I emphasize in my teaching practice is the development of academic realism. So I do focus on realistic drawing and being able to create the illusion of 3 dimensions on a flat surface. The other thing that I emphasize is the development of a creative vision. So this display case is the best place to see where some of that energy went to and some of those expressions that are uniquely the student's personality. So one of the first pieces in the display case is this beautiful seascape in oil by Teresa Fabish. And Teresa was experimenting with oil painting, and she also wanted to learn how to build the form of clouds and water. Everything really is related to value that I teach to create this illusion of 3 dimensions on a flat surface. She was also experimenting with oil. The chief media that I teach, that I also use in my own work: oil painting, graphite drawing for drawing, charcoal pencils, pan pastel and soft pastels, as well as acrylic collage, digital collage are things that students can learn from working with me. This is by Ashwitha. Teresa is an adult student, but Ashwitha is a grade school student. Of course, she has just graduated 8th grade and will be in high school this coming term. But this was just a little bit of fun. This is one of those diverse works of art where we were playing with texture and just having a little bit of fun building the texture using acrylics and gesso. Eli is a high school student, Eli Paulson, and he enjoys gaming and is taking courses with me to understand how the figure moves so that he can be able to create his own drawings, his own characters with realism, as many of today's games show. This was just a little fun piece. This is one of his characters, and he was experimenting with oil paint. Same with this piece by Eli, just having a little bit of fun with the paints. Annette Lee is one of my high school students, and this is a portrait of her grandma. It's called Peace because she's making a peace sign, so it's a little bit fun. And Annette envisioned her with the cityscape of Seoul in the background, and we also have Korean wording in the background, which translates, among other things, the word peace is in there. This is in color pencil, which is another media that I teach. An oil painting by an adult student, Kate Burlett, showing a beautiful combination of violets and greens. Learn a little bit about color theory in my classes as well. and how to put colors together, how to mix colors. A beautiful pastel by adult student Teresa Fabish. This is an oil painting, a self-portrait from a baby picture done by adult student Charlotte Turnbull. And again, just this emphasis on creating that illusion of 3 dimensions, understanding where the light falls, understanding shadows, values, and so forth to get a good likeness. Same goes for this piece, which is done in pastel by grade school student Annette Garacetti of her twin brother when he was a little younger. And again, her understanding of values and where to place values, how to get a likeness. She's really made great progress, and she's been working with me since 2015. Very proud of all of my students. Ashwitha Sankar is also a grade school student, recent 8th grade graduate. Congratulations also to Ashwitha and to Amaya. And this is a banyan tree. At this point, Ashwitha was experimenting with oil paints for the first time. She chose a banyan tree because that's what her name translates into in English. Her skills improved greatly as she worked more with oils, and here we see figurative work by Ashwitha. This is one of my pieces. This piece is a good example of my artist statement, which is to use the figure, particularly that of the dancer, to explore the movement of darkness into light. Now that has a physical connotation as well as an emotional connotation. And I think this piece brings my artist statement to life fairly well. This is called Resurrection, done in black and white oil. This is an acrylic by high school student Annette Lee, where she was exploring texture. So that's another thing that I teach, how to create the illusion of texture. This wall is mine, and so there's a few examples of what I do. Not all of them are good examples of my artist statement, but I do get interested in a lot of different things. But it does show my interest in figurative work, portraiture, and particularly the dancer and costume. All things that I'm very, very interested in. And hair, I like to do hair. I like to draw and paint hair. This is actually a digital work. So this was done in Photoshop, but the drawing was an actual graphite drawing that I brought in and did a Photoshop collage with. I like celestial imagery, so we have a combination of celestial imagery there with my daughter's portrait. Here's a pastel. Again, sometimes I just get really into the details of costume. I wasn't as interested in the face, so I focused in on the torso on this drawing using pastels. The influence of Klimt is very obvious in this one. This is a large piece, and I got very interested, and still am very interested in pursuing the use of gold foil, gold and silver foil in my work. And I've done a lot of workshops with different groups regarding how to use gold foil. And so this one, I kind of went crazy with the patterning, the decorative patterning, along with the use of gold foil. It was just kind of fun. Graphite drawing of a dancer with elaborate costume details. And I did a series of photographs of dancers from the Salt Creek Ballet, which is in Westmont. It's where I attended ballet school as an adult for more years than I care to admit here. But I really became enamored by her Harlequin costume, and I thought that doing a Mondrian style background would make a fun composition. And it did. I really like the way it turned out. A good example of my portraiture here of a young girl and the hair that I enjoy doing. And this is just a fun piece using charcoal pencil, white charcoal pencil, and handmade papers that are in the background. So I did the drawing and cut it out and pasted it down on an arrangement of papers. It was just kind of a fun thing. Nuns just want to have fun. Here's the drawing wall, and this is where what I emphasize in my drawing classes really comes out. And by the way, my drawing classes and painting classes are typically one-on-one. So they're private and tailored to each student and each student's interests. This one is by Ashwitha. Again, she is just going into high school. This is, of course, obviously the moon landing, where she explored a lot of different values, learned how to see more accurately. So her powers of observation were greatly improved by this drawing. This is Amaya's image or portrait of Benjamin Cumberbatch. I think that's his name, or is it Benedict? Oh, bad teacher. But anyway, again, with this idea of getting a likeness and knowing where to place the values and creating this illusion of 3 dimensions. Charlotte, an adult student, using the charcoal pencil and pan pastel technique. This is an example of a tool that I teach using the grid to draw each area of the face very, very carefully. I don't prescribe this as a way to draw forever, but if you do a couple of these, 2 or 3 at the most in your lifetime, you will see better than you have ever seen before. You might want to hit me with your pencil while you're doing it because it's very tedious, but it really does enhance your powers of observations. And this is an image by adult student Charlotte Turnbull of her grandson that she did using this technique. This is one of my works. This is the charcoal and pan pastel and white charcoal pencil technique used to create this drawing. And one of my grandson done with the same technique. It's a layering technique. Each one of these takes a minimum of 40 hours to do, not 40 days, but 40 hours. And so there's a lot of layering that goes on with these kinds of drawings. This is that same technique by adult student Kate Burlett. Graphite drawing by Annette, high school student. This is a charcoal drawing of one of the same subjects that I tackled on my wall. This is Amaya's version of Anna Pavlova, famous dancer from the 19th century, with wonderful costume details. And finally, a grid drawing by adult student Teresa Fabish. So that's the work of the students and their teacher, and I would like to thank you all for coming. And I would like to congratulate my students and tell them how much they have enriched my life. And a special big thank you goes out to the Poplar Creek Library for inviting us to come and put on this exhibition. Thank you all.